Hi! Today I thought I'd go over a few things I'm learning about proprioception and how it relates to hypermobility. So proprioception is your awareness of where your body is in space. So it's the reason you can take a bite full of food without stabbing yourself in the mouth with your fork, or the reason you can take a step up without looking down to see how high you have to lift your leg. So obviously these things are super helpful and really important in your day-to-day life. But studies have shown that proprioceptive ability is diminished in those with hypermobility. So initially I was thinking, well, that's why I'm a bit more clumsy than other people and why I can't catch a ball to save my life. But once I started reading a bit more about it, I realized the bigger impact that's having on my overall life, really. So your ability to maintain proper form within exercises while doing strength training or yoga or whatever you might be doing relies on your ability to be aware of where your joints are in space. So this lack of proprioception means that you're likely doing some exercises with improper form. So for years I did yoga and I was thinking I was killing it at single leg balances, but then just about a year ago I realized through visual feedback by looking in the mirror that I was the only one whose knee was pointing like sideways when I was balancing on one leg. This is because my glute needs, my outer glutes weren't activating. But obviously aside from the biomechanics there, I hadn't been aware of it. I felt like I was centered. I felt like I was balancing properly. It wasn't until I looked in the mirror that I realized my knee was turning inwards. Similarly, single leg glute bridges, you always hear keep your hips level. Well, from my vantage point, my hips were level, but that meant square, really. So I was keeping my hips square, but it wasn't until I graduated, really, to an elevated single leg glute bridge where the working leg is up on a step that I noticed my hips were not level. The working leg was actually hiking, the hip was hiking up closer to my armpit than the non-working leg. So again, these exercises where I'm lacking proper form, they're not only pointing to weaknesses and compensations that I've built over time, but they're also leading to a lack of stability and a lack of training the stability muscles that are so important, especially in someone who already has unstable, extra flexible joints to begin with. So it's definitely important to be aware of your lack of proprioception and then to work on it. So I've started doing some exercises. They're called proprioceptive exercises, but really they're just body awareness. The first one that I started doing was just body scans. So lying on my back and just being aware of where my limbs are, where, if my heels are touching the floor or my hips, if they're square. And it's not about correcting anything, you're just lying there, but it's about becoming more aware of your body and where it is. And the next one is using visual feedback. So this can be in two different ways, really, like testing yourself, telling yourself to lift your leg to a 90-degree, or bend your knee to 90 degrees, and then just look down, see if you did it appropriately. But you can also do this with mirror feedback, so stand in front of a mirror, close your eyes, try to do some sort of pose, open your eyes and see if you've done it properly, really. So those two things have been helping me immensely. I've already noticed that I'm becoming much more aware just in my day-to-day life. Doing things like putting the dishes away or hanging up the laundry. I've now noticed my shoulders hike up quite a bit, and I was completely unaware of it before. Another example is I'm now more aware when I'm going into plank. My arms typically aren't right below my shoulders, so that's just another thing. I know teachers always tell you to put your hands below your shoulders, but it wasn't until I positioned my mirror so I could see from a different angle that I noticed that they were a bit too far forward. So yeah, just becoming curious and playing around a bit has helped so much in my day-to-day. And I hope this helps you. I will link an article I've written about the exercises I'm doing, as well as an article about hypermobility in general. Ooh, muddy. an article about hypermobility in general, in case that interests you. And if you'd like to learn more about hypermobility and what I'm learning, what I'm trying, definitely subscribe and follow along.